The judge did not look at my brother when the courtroom went silent. He looked at me. 1 second earlier, my mother had been whispering that I was unstable, while my brother, Nathan Pierce, tapped his pen like this hearing was already finished. Then my lawyer placed 3 documents on the judge's bench: asset transfer forms, a management agreement, and a signature that was supposed to be mine. Only it wasn't. "Major Pierce," the judge said slowly, "did you authorize any of these transfers?" I stood. My mother closed her eyes. Nathan's pen stopped moving. "No, Your Honor. My brother prepared them before this hearing ever began. And for the first time, my family looked afraid of me." 3 weeks earlier, I stood in the Montana rain holding my grandmother's house key. Grandma Ruth had died in the farmhouse outside Bozeman, where she taught me how to mend fences, make biscuits, and keep my word. She was 86, stubborn as winter, and the only person in my family who never made me feel like love had to be earned. At the graveside, my mother whispered, "Try not to make this about your Army trauma today. Abigail." I was wearing my dress uniform. My grandmother was being lowered into the ground. Still, somehow, I was the inconvenience. Nathan was the golden son. I was the difficult daughter, the one in military intelligence, the one my mother called too rigid, as if discipline were a disease. After the funeral, we met at the office of Harold Vance, Grandma Ruth's attorney. My parents sat across from me. Nathan leaned back, already expecting victory. Harold opened a sealed envelope. "Ruth asked that this letter be read before the will." My Abigail came when my hands shook too badly to write checks. She took me to appointments. She sat beside me when the house became too quiet. She never asked what anything was worth. She only asked if I had eaten. My throat closed. Then Harold read the will. Grandma left me the farmhouse, the lake cabin, the investments, and the trust my grandfather built. "The current valuation," Harold said, "is approximately $8.7 million. The room went dead still. All of it left to the granddaughter they had treated like a problem. "What did you do to her?" my mother whispered. 2 days later, my family came to the farmhouse with papers. Not food, not flowers, not memories. Papers. Nathan had a folder open on Grandma's kitchen table. "You need to sign this," he said. "What is it?" "A temporary management agreement." "For the estate," my father answered. "Nathan has business experience." Nathan smiled. "You keep a generous allowance." "That sounds exactly like taking something from me." My mother turned sharply. "Don't be childish. Abigail, you are a soldier, not a financial manager." "I am a major in military intelligence." "That makes this worse," she said. "You've been in stressful environments for years. You don't socialize. You keep weapons in your home. Do you know how that looks to a court?" The words landed like a loaded gun. I looked at Nathan. He looked away first. "What have you done?" I asked. My father rubbed his face. "We filed for a limited guardianship." For a moment, I did not understand. Then I did. They were not just contesting the will. They were trying to declare me legally incompetent. My mother softened her voice. "This is for your protection." "No," I said. "It is for the money." Nathan slammed his palm on the table. "You think you can manage $9 million because Grandma liked your little visits? You disappear for years, come back in uniform, and suddenly you're the moral authority?" That night, I sat on the porch while rain crossed the pasture. I had sat across from generals, But nothing had prepared me for my own parents telling a court I was unfit to receive the love my grandmother had left me. I cried quietly, not because of the money, because my family had finally said out loud what they had always believed. I was acceptable only if I could be controlled. The next morning, I called Daniel Rhodes, a former federal prosecutor turned state attorney. He listened without interrupting. Then he asked, "Major Pierce, did they prepare transfer documents before any judge gave them authority?" I looked at the folder Nathan had left behind by mistake. Inside were drafts listing Guardian Bridge Capital, LLC, as the estate manager. Nathan's company. Daniel went quiet. Then he said, "Do not sign anything. Do not meet them alone again. Bring me every page." For the next 2 weeks, my family built a case around the shape of my silence. A neighbor called me too private. A psychologist who had never met me wrote that military service could impair judgment. My mother submitted photographs of my apartment, a locked gun safe, labeled binders, a color-coded calendar. To them, discipline looked like illness. Daniel answered with facts: Army evaluations, clearance reviews, perfect credit, early mortgage payments, and an Army doctor's assessment proving I was fully competent. Still, every page sounded like the same message: Abigail cannot be trusted with her own life. Then, 3 days before the hearing, a woman named Tessa Grant called Daniel's office. She had worked for Nathan. She had emails, invoices, and one recording. Daniel played it for me. Nathan's voice came through the speaker, casual and cruel. "Once guardianship goes through, we move the lake property first. Abigail won't know what happened until it's done." Another voice asked, "What if she fights?" Nathan laughed. "She's a soldier. We say trauma. Judges love that word." I sat perfectly still. I thought anger would come first. It didn't. First came sadness. My brother had not misunderstood me. He had studied the parts of my life that hurt and turned them into weapons. My service, my solitude, my carefulness, my grief. That was when something inside me changed. Not broke, changed. For years, I had stayed quiet to keep peace. I let my mother call me cold. I let my father praise Nathan and dismiss me. I let my brother play businessman while mocking the real work I had done in silence. But Grandma Ruth had not left me that estate so I could shrink again. She had left it to the person who would protect it. So I decided to do exactly that. The hearing was held on a Thursday morning in Gallatin County District Court. My parents arrived early. My mother wore cream wool and a small diamond cross. My father looked tired. Nathan looked confident, but not calm. Daniel sat beside me with one closed folder. "You all right?" he asked. "No," I said, "but I'm ready." Across the aisle, my mother whispered loudly enough for me to hear. "She even looks detached." I turned and met her eyes. For once, I did not look away. The first hour was designed to humiliate me. Their attorney talked about deployments, stress, weapons, routines, and my inability to maintain normal family bonds. My mother called me unreachable. My father said he feared strangers would exploit me. Nathan said I was too rigid to manage complex assets. Then Daniel stood. He did not shout. He simply removed documents from his folder. My service evaluations, medical clearance, financial records, Grandma Ruth's letter, and the incorporation records for Guardian Bridge Capital, LLC. "Your Honor," Daniel said, The petitioners claim they seek guardianship to protect Major Pierce. Yet Mr. Nathan Pierce formed an asset management company months before this hearing, designed to receive control of the very estate at issue. Nathan's attorney shifted. Daniel continued. We also have transfer forms prepared before any ruling, including signatures represented as Major Pierce's. My mother whispered, "No." Daniel pressed a small remote. The courtroom speaker crackled. Then Nathan's voice filled the room. Once guardianship goes through, we move the lake property first. Abigail won't know what happened until it's done. Nathan stood halfway. That's out of context. The judge raised one hand. Sit down. Daniel placed the transfer forms on the bench. That was when the judge looked at me. Major Pierce, did you authorize any of these transfers? I stood. No, Your Honor. My brother prepared them before this hearing ever began. Silence rolled through the courtroom. The judge reviewed the dates, the forged signature, the company records, and Tessa Grant's sworn statement. Page by page, his face hardened. Then he closed the file. No one is leaving this courtroom, he said. A bailiff stepped in front of the doors. My mother began to cry. Not grief, panic. The judge dismissed the guardianship petition with prejudice, affirmed my full legal capacity, and ordered the evidence forwarded for possible fraud, forgery, and attempted financial exploitation. Nathan's lawyer asked for a recess. The judge said no. For the first time in my adult life, my brother had no exit plan. Outside the courthouse, my father followed me down the steps. Abigail, he said, we didn't know about the forged papers. I believed him. That was the worst part. They had not planned every detail. They had simply been willing to believe the worst about me because it made reaching the money easier. My mother wiped her face. Your grandmother should have divided things properly. She did, I said. Her mouth trembled. You're really going to let them investigate your brother? I looked at her. All my life, she had asked me to protect the family by absorbing the damage. Smile at Christmas, ignore the insult. Don't embarrass Nathan. Don't upset your father. But silence had not protected anyone. It had only taught them I would keep bleeding quietly. Nathan did this, I said. Not me. I drove to Grandma Ruth's farmhouse alone. That evening, I found a photograph from my commissioning ceremony. Grandma had written on the back in shaky ink, "My brave girl, you never needed to be loud to be strong." I sat on the floor and cried until the house turned dark. Not because I had won, because I had finally stopped asking people who hurt me to admit I was worth loving. The investigation lasted months. Nathan's accounts were frozen. Guardian Bridge Capital vanished from the internet. My parents called twice. I let both calls go to voicemail. I did not hate them. Hate would have been easier. What I felt was grief, with boundaries. I kept the farmhouse, protected the investments, and created the Ruth Pierce Rural Scholarship Fund for students from small towns who wanted to serve others. I returned to duty 2 months later. My boots still needed polishing. My inbox still filled before sunrise. But one thing had changed. I no longer carried the old hunger for my family's approval. One Sunday, I came back to the farmhouse and cooked chicken and dumplings the way Grandma Ruth used to. Friends gathered around the long wooden table while the fields outside turned gold. Near sunset, I walked out to the porch with a cup of coffee and thought about Grandma Ruth's letter. Love is not what people say. Love is what people do. My family had said the word love all my life. Grandma Ruth had lived it. That was why she trusted me. Because I stayed. Because when she was old and tired and the house got too quiet, I came. The inheritance was never really the money. It was the final gift of being seen. And if you have ever been called cold, difficult, distant, unstable, or too much trouble by the people who should have loved you best, remember this. They can question your mind. They can attack your name. They can try to steal your future. But they cannot take your character unless you hand it to them. And I had spent too many years handing pieces of myself to people who never deserved them. Not anymore.